Welcome to episode 3 of the Financial Tangent Podcast. My name is Rich. I have Chloe with us and Ben. All righty.
What's going on, everybody?
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
So today's episode is we're going to discuss needs versus wants. But before we get started, I lined us up a sponsor. So for over 20 years, Integrity Trailers has been building the finest utility and boat trailers available anywhere. Our standard and custom models are designed smarter, engineered stronger, and built better than ordinary trailers. That's why you can count on Integrity Trailers to provide you with absolute reliability and peace of mind for years to come. Integrity Trailers, it's not just our name, it's our reputation. www.integritytrailers.com. And just for the record, that is not a paid endorsement. We're not receiving one penny from Bill, friend of the podcast, for that shout out. We just like to take care of our friends of the podcast. So give Bill a little bit of.
Well, that was very professional. That was very professional, Rich. That went wow. That was awesome.
Yeah,
caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that at all.
Thought I'd slip that in there and surprise everyone, but we like to help out our friends.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So anyway, so basically,
Bill, it's a great spot.
Our episode is needs versus wants. Just so that everybody, needs are essential for survival, like food, shelter, and healthcare, while wants enhance our quality of life but aren't critical. Is any thoughts on that? Anything to add to that?
I think that just about sums it up.
Yeah, exactly. And what do marketing people do? What's the marketing trap?
You need
it's definitely a shift in psychology between the need versus the want, I think. And when I think about needs versus wants, I kind of go back to high school economics class, I guess. What are your basic needs versus what are your wants? But I also think too, they can change depending on like where you're at in your life. Sometimes something that you need now might be a want later, or vice versa. So that's kind of why I think, part of us putting this podcast together, because we have a ton of needs right now, but we also have a ton of wants. Chloe and I kind of being at the stage in our lives that we are, but I appreciate, Rich kicking off the topic, because I think it definitely is something that many, struggle with, and it's certainly something I struggle with. I'm not perfect in any way. In fact, it's probably an area for improvement for me. Wants versus needs. What do you guys think? Do you guys feel like you handle this topic pretty well in your lives, or do you guys feel like it's a challenge for you too? What are kind of some good needs versus wants strategies? I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts?
I'm a pretty frugal guy with some exceptions. But I think we'll go down a list here in a little bit. And I think as we discuss the list, I think, there's needs, and how much you spend on your needs blurs into the want category, right? Because you can eat, obviously we all have to eat food. How much we spend on food is blurs into, if you're eating hot dogs versus caviar. And
I think a lot of like that's a good point, Dad. Like you could buy generic brand versus name brand or something.
Go out for lobster, or
I personally buy the store brand all the time.
Yeah.
And I look at the ingredients, if it's food, but I also look at if it's not food, if it's, something that you just need as like a something for your house or something just that you need that's generic versus name brand. You can also look at like, its list of features, what it's made with, because a lot of times you can get by with, that generic brand. Could probably do a whole episode on Costco and Sam's Club, and if those stores actually save you money or not. I would argue maybe in recent years not, but that's just my personal opinion.
Really
Correct
depends on
me if
like the
yeah,
product that you buy.
yeah,
It's probably not for. I've actually this is a little off topic, but hey, we're financial tangent, so
yeah,
I have heard that in order to maximize grocery savings, you have to go to different stores
Hmm.
because each
Yep.
store has different sales going on and
They're
different
loss
pricing
leaders.
and
Yeah,
everything. So
yeah. Shop for losses at stores and avoid leaders at stores. Yeah, that's a good one. It's a good thought.
Absolutely.
Rich, what do you think? What do you see? When you're out at the store and stuff recently about kind of loss leaders or anything like that? Is there anything that kind of glaring kind of sticks out to you?
Sticks out to me at stores. A lot of times, my wife and I, Chloe's mom, we'll go to Sam's Club. She likes to drag me along to Sam's Club, and there's a lot of impulse purchases at Sam's Club. There's a lot of things that you walk past, and
Yeah.
it's
Mm-hmm.
there are some basically those big long LED utility lights that are designed to replace the fluorescent lights in like workshops and stuff.
Sure.
I resisted the urge to buy a couple because I wanted them for the garage and just wanted to think it over a little bit and see if that's a good purchase or not, or is that more of an impulse purchase?
Sure.
I'm sure they're still,
Sure.
I should go back and buy them. They weren't too terribly expensive or anything, and I needed a couple for the garage. But, so, I think a lot of times it's just taking it, stop and just saying, hey, let's wait.
yeah,
Think this through. So it's not an
Yeah.
impulse purchase, but it's more of an educated purchase. And can it fit into the monthly budget? And
Yep.
absolutely.
Do you guys think that shopping online, do you think that that's a pro of shopping online? I think it would be because you don't have the obligation of I drove here, I'm spending my precious time here.
yeah,
So I might as well buy it now and get it over with because I've had that. I've done that. Even with stuff similar like what you just mentioned, Rich. It's like, yeah, it's not like, it's not like you're buying a toy car or a bow or whatever. It is something for your house that you need. I've done that with other types of things. I mean, I think there's maybe a good example is like I bought a storage box for outside of my house to let me put like deck furniture in so that it's not outside, so I don't have to like bring it inside, bring it outside. So it's like, I already was at Home Depot, went and bought it because I was already there, but it was kind of like one of those things. Kind of same story. You know what I mean? What do you think, Chloe?
is online shopping better for impulse buying? Was that the question?
Or maybe more I yeah, like what do you think? Because I think it's good and bad. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It reduces your obligation of shopping in person, but I also think it also
Mhm.
makes it easier to just quick search something up, order it, and then
Yeah, I would agree. Like it's good for if you have something in mind, like, okay, I have a specific item in mind that I need. So let me
Mhm.
just browse online, get the best deal, and then maybe you are saving money that way. You're not driving out someplace to go pick something up. And
Yeah, definitely.
um, but yeah, I think it's kind of a double-edged sword and that you have the world at your fingertips and you can look up a bunch of stuff and um,
Yep.
I was trying to get my can of seltzer water in view here because I'm not endorsing a product here. So anyway, I was
Well,
just
I can not endorse the Ball family. I've got a Ball wide mouth jar full of water. It's just water, nothing big. So
Well, Chloe, your job this podcast is to keep Ben and I on task because you had a discussion with me over the weekend about that. So
It's
maybe
okay. We're financial tangent. We can be.
maybe that's a segue to keep moving on.
Yep.
Here.
Yep. Yep. So, what do you guys think about? We're gonna kind of. I think we have some time to dive into maybe one other little topic, and then what I'd like to do is leave everybody with a list of things that we made. Of things in our lives that kind of are on that blurred line of want versus need and kind of that gray area. Mm-hmm. But before we do that, I mean, I think, what do you guys think about, things like, luxury branding, influencer endorsements, FOMO. What are some top examples that you think of right now? I mean, I have some, but maybe we could just spend a couple of minutes on that and then kind of leave our listeners with this list.
Right. So wants disguised as needs, right? I think that's what you're kind of getting at, right, Ben? And I think with luxury branding, it blurs that line of, okay, you have a need for, let's say, transportation, you have a need for a car.
Yeah.
Sure.
Luxury branding, they do a really good job of making that want or that need turn into a want, or that need of transportation turning into, I need that luxury. I need to spend more on that. And none, it's not necessarily evil. It's not bad. If you can afford it, that's great. But if you're in a situation where it's not in the budget, then it's certainly, I think people try to achieve status by driving a more expensive car than what they can afford. And I think one thing that I've learned in
great book,
your
great book about that.
Yeah, your contentment and stuff comes within. It doesn't come from external, in that validation from other people looking at you and trying to achieve that through.
Yep, absolutely. A great book about that dissects that psychology. It's actually called The Millionaire Next Door.
Oh, I've read that. Yeah, absolutely.
It's written by
Tom Stanley.
Yeah. Yep. I'm looking at my copy on my bookshelf over there.
I'm ready.
And it totally dissects that psychology, right? Of understanding that appearances are just that. They're appearances. Mm-hmm. And that's all there is to it. They can be authentic appearances, they can be fake appearances, they can be wannabe appearances, they can be whatever, right? At each extreme, right? So you might have somebody who's paycheck to paycheck, has a huge house, drives a Mercedes, Land Rover, whatever, or the other extreme. They travel every weekend, every other month, or whatever. Maybe they don't have all these fancy, nice things, but they're traveling a ton, and that's a huge expense too. So it's never. I think the book really kind of picks after kind of one certain area, maybe of our population, and their spending habits. But I also think that the book just kind of opens up appearances are appearances. You know what I mean? And that was my takeaway, and I'd recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, that's going to be a whole episode in and of itself. That's a great book. That's a must read.
Yep. We'll do one on that. Chloe, what do you think? Kind of about that marketing track.
Okay, I think my dad was spot on. I don't think I have any disagreements with what he said. I guess the first thing that popped into my mind too was he thought of cars. I thought of purses when I saw luxury branding.
Yep.
You related to your mother?
I thought of cars too.
Yeah.
I think your mom's more shoes though, but
I mean, my thought is like, I don't know, buy the duped version, like the fake version for purses. But if that's something that you need a purse, okay, well, you don't have to get the most expensive kind.
Right.
But you can get stylish looking purses for not that expensive.
Right. Instead of kind of getting away from the materialism of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Rich, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just going to say, is duped, is that a Gen Z term or something?
It is.
That's good. I love it. But no, I think we're touching on, this is behavioral economics. I mean, this goes back to the 1700s. This is just,
Mhm.
centuries of marketing people and
Mhm.
of just, figuring out ways of, this goes back to Adam Smith and just figuring out ways of turning your needs into wants.
Yep,
It's not all bad, but it's something to be aware of as you make your purchasing decisions.
Yeah.
absolutely. So there's a list that we compiled, and do you agree or disagree about whether or not these are needs or wants, vice versa? So you have car wash, makeup, braces, therapy, restaurants or fast food, hobbies or healthcare, private schooling or public schooling, college, pets, giving at church, purchasing cars. We kind of just talked about that. Entertainment, clothing. So those I think are all areas that, and we all think are areas where that line is incredibly blurred one way or another. And it's incredibly difficult to kind of hone your need to stay in need versus morphing into a want.
Well, did we want to go through a few of these and just kind of discuss the blur, the line?
Maybe jump into maybe just one or two maybe, and then we
Sure.
can kind of let everyone kind of think for themselves on it. What you guys want to jump into maybe um, restaurants and fast food, for example? I mean, that's kind of something that is an everyday kind of thing. I feel like that maybe we all can relate to, kind of being that we all work and stuff. I pack my own lunches because it's cheaper. I shop at the grocery store and I bring my own lunches to work versus spending. But I've noticed that in my area, where I am, market price for a good decent lunch is about $20-ish, $25-ish. But if you, I don't know, like if I think about what I spend on groceries, and then I itemize that, I'm sure, and I haven't done it, but I would argue that the math would support that it's half or a third of the cost.
Yeah.
And it's healthier.
So my thought with that was, I think it's pretty cut and dry in most situations, like restaurants and fast foods. That's basically a want. But
Sure.
what came to my mind was, what if you are a truck driver, someone who's on the road all the time? Is eating out
Mm-hmm.
a need then? Because you can't necessarily cook your own food if you're on the road.
Right.
So
So then,
that's kind of the
need,
blurred line
you know,
there. Mm-hmm.
yeah, where does the need fall versus where does the want fall? Yeah. And, is, so then you look at, okay, so, then at that point, and this could be a whole separate topic, for the nature of your work and what you have, what your circumstances are as a result, what your financial circumstances are as a result of your work. Would meals be paid because depending on the company, would they
That's
pay
true.
your meals while you travel, or
Mm-hmm.
or is your salary just that much higher because you're constantly eating out all the time?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's definitely a good topic for sure. I appreciate the thought, Chloe. That's a good point.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
What's another item that?
I was looking at insurance. I mean, insurance is one of those things where it's pretty critical that you have, car
Yeah.
insurance, house insurance.
Yeah.
bringing in life insurance, that's a whole nother episode. But, for years I had term life insurance. But insurance is one of those things where there's a lot of add-ons, a lot of
Yeah.
extra things, and like I have right now windshield coverage on our cars. I feel guilty about paying it, but it has, we've just had a windshield replaced in our Subaru, and some over the years, a few chips here and there replaced on our windshields, and I'd have to
Nice.
sit down. I really should have sat down and done the math on if I were to take that extra X amount of dollars, let's say $50 a month, depending on windshield coverage, save that in the bank, would I come out ahead or not? And I probably would have, definitely. So
How much does it cost to get a windshield replaced?
that's a good question.
Mine itself. So I recently had a issue. So my hood flew open on me when I was driving one time. I have the same car. I have the same car as Rich. Yeah. So I got probably about 6 years worth of insurance payments out of the dealio because the hood was broken, the windshield was broken, the quarter panels were bent. The top was all dinged up and stuff, and so then they had to repaint and all that other kind of stuff. But I'm actually amazed it didn't total my car with how many miles are on my car. But yeah, I mean, it's that's a good point, Rich. I mean, to think about that, and is it worth your, and this is where insurance companies get you. Is it worth your time to do the research to cover only what you want to be covered for what you'll need? You know what I mean?
A lot of places, like windshield places, they'll have two prices: one the insurance price, and one if you're paying cash price. So, absolutely.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll leave everybody with this list. Throw us some thoughts. And we'd certainly love to dive into these maybe a little bit in, detail. We can for sure shoot you a reply in the comments. Let us know what you think. What are some more? We could perhaps do a second episode on this, but our goal with the podcast is kind of make each episode its own. So it's not like a building kind of thing. We're not going to come back to this next episode, but we certainly would respond to your comments for sure. Just because we want the podcast to be easy for anybody new to listen to. Just each episode to be its own thing. So shoot us some thoughts in the comments. We'll for sure reply back if we get anything. Hopefully we're still getting started. And we can for sure do another episode, I'd bet, as well on this, should we have ample interest. So,
alrighty. Well, thanks, everyone. It was a great episode, you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rich.
Everybody,
thanks, Chloe.
Thanks, Ben.